somebody on this moment here, how to identify whatever is holding you back, whether it's fear or social expectations or something, specifically around love, romantic relationships, family relationships, what might you encourage them to do? Is there a journal prompt you might give, or a question you might ask a dear friend to inspire them to think differently?
So to ask around what is the fear, right? What are the fears there? And then to kind of go back in time. When was the first time you felt that fear, or that you recognize the thing that you're associating with that fear, right? Like, what is it in your past that you're connecting to as though it's present now, as though it is the influence now, and then unpacking that
Yeah.
and seeing the difference that that is then, and that is that context, and this is now, and this is this context. Like they always say, you become your parents because that's what we know, that's the default. But when you intentionally choose to use your experience as a teacher versus defaulting to it, you can say, I'm going to do it different.
I knew asking a coach a question as open-ended and nebulous as that would yield a result. And the reason I asked it is because so many of our listeners may be going through that moment where they're thinking about, what do I truly want and how do I uncover that? And I think there's a sense of figuring out what it is that you want, your desires, but also understanding what's holding you back, what's in the way. So I think what you gave was really useful, and I hope our listeners are taking away from that. Let's go specifically. Let's go away from the nebulous and go to the specifics. If you could articulate what you imagined step parenting to be, based on your parents' experience, based on friends or people that you witnessed, however you want to inform that, can you give us some adjectives to describe what you imagined step parenting was all about, the thing that made you walk away from step parenting? And then let's talk about what you've turned step parenting into. We'll do that next. But start with what was step parenting to you that felt like, ugh, I can't do this?
So I had different experiences on both sides. So I had a role model for both ways of being, of what I liked and what I didn't as a child. I put myself not necessarily in the parent role, in the step parent role, but I was connecting to what the child's experience was, because that was the role that I knew. And it was feeling like an other, right? It was feeling not included. It was feeling like there was not a sense of belonging. And there's this disconnect between kind of like the core family and then the stepchild. I also just want to note that my stepmom and I, we've been working on this, and my other siblings, like we've been working on this for a long time, which has been great and positive. But back then, right, when I was a child growing up, it was really difficult for me. It was really difficult. And so thinking and projecting that into the experience that these children, these three children, might have with me if I default into my experience, that was the concern for me, is that I would make them feel inadvertently like others, like this is not where they belong, or they're different than if I make children. Like they're not the same.
Thank you for listening to Stork'd with your host, Julia Carroll. This podcast is changing the conversation around the ways people define and create family. If you like what you hear, please support us by sharing with friends and following on Instagram at Stork'd_podcast. We also always appreciate it when you rate and review us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. For more information, visit storkedpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter. That's STORKD podcast.com.